I'm originally from China and moved to Australia 5 years ago to start my Master of Music degree at University of Queensland. And after I graduate, I decided to stay here with my ex-partner. So I studied a Master of Secondary Teaching at Griffith University. I finished the first year degree and started to work at secondary school in Australia. But at the same time, I broke up with my ex, so I decided to study my PhD in the music education.
In music education.
Yeah, because my bachelor degree is in music education and my master degree is in music, just music, not education. And then I did another degree in secondary school teaching.
Right. So this brought it all together for you, your passion for music and teaching as well.
Yes.
What brought you to Australia? What was,
because there are only few countries speak English, except China is my second language, only English. So, yeah, America seems too dangerous because the gun issues there, and Canada is too cold, same as Britain.
Yeah.
The only option is Australia.
So climate and language, and that sort of was a good fit with coming here as well. So you mentioned there about the different disciplines that you've studied in terms of music and education and different degrees. What brought you to those areas? What's, for example, like education, what sort of attracted you to the idea of education as a discipline?
Yeah, I think similar to a lot of Asian kids, their parents always decide for them what they will be in the future. So my mom, really interested in education and music. She sent me to study piano when I was 4 years old, and sent me to learn opera when I was in the primary school. And she always interested in the arts.
Yeah.
And she wants me to be a teacher in the future. She thinks there are a lot of holidays for teachers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, actually not. Yeah.
But so that's a common cultural practice then for the parents to choose the child's sort of direction. Yeah. Yeah. And is education a popular one that's chosen, or in terms of other Chinese students?
I think a lot of them choose economy or marketing or accountant or dentist when they can go overseas to study because it's more practical and they can get a good pay after they graduate. But my mom seems, she just wanted me to have a stable job.
I see.
Yes, so working in the school is very stable for her.
Yeah. Okay. Do you you had mentioned in other conversations that you had done some teaching work in the classroom. Was that with primary school or high school? And can you tell me a little bit about that experience?
Secondary school. I always work at secondary school. Before I moved to Australia, I taught music in secondary school in China.
Okay.
And after I moved to here, I started teaching in the music school, where they have a wide range of students, the age from 4 years old to 50 years old.
Okay.
And after that, I did a prac and in secondary school in Australia, 2 secondary schools in south part of Brisbane. Yeah. And
how would you compare those experiences with teaching in China and then in Australia?
I found that students are very different. In China, students just sit in the classroom. They don't really ask any questions. There's less communication and interaction between students and teachers. Always teacher give instructions and the teacher asks them to do some activities. Whereas in Australia, students seems more active. There's more interaction between teacher and students. They ask questions and they tell what they want to do. Yeah.
Which did you prefer?
I think something neutral would be better.
Yeah.
Yes, in China, just students too quiet. In here, students is just too active.
Yeah. With it too. Did you finds that many of the students themselves had an interest in music in Australia.
Yeah,
Like, was it a streamed class? It was.
yeah. I think in Australia, year 7, music is compulsory subject. After that, it becomes the selective class. So students who chose to sit in the music classroom, they have interest in music.
Yeah. Did you think that your degrees in teaching actually helped you in the Australian classroom, or were
Yes,
useful? Yeah.
yeah. Um, it's useful for me because in China we use a Western notation too. In here they use a Western notation too, but I think the difference between my teaching style and the other Australian music teachers teaching style is a little bit different. The music teachers here, they like to teach pop music, like band music. Yes,
Yeah.
because I think they think those music can engage with students more effectively.
Yeah.
Whereas when I go to classroom, I just teach the Western classical music more than pop music because that's an area I'm more familiar with.
And so all of those experiences with with your own education and with your classroom experiences, how have they helped to shape your PhD topic?
Uh, it's interesting because the PhD topic is I'm working at now is just very closely related to my personal life. My PhD topic is looking at the culture diverse and the Indigenous students in the doctorate education, which exactly is me. I'm a culture diverse PhD student, and the I think the reason I joined this program is really matched to my cultural background.
Yeah.
And yes,
Tell me a
um,
little bit more about that. Yeah.
yes, when I went to teach in the secondary school in Australia, I saw some programs, some culture inequity
Mhm.
in the music classrooms. And my current study is located in this area. So I guess it's like my own experience studies. When I study my PhD, it helped me to understand myself more. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great thing
Mm.
to do. And it's great that you've sort of had that insight now, because often it comes a bit later in the process. So where are you in your actual process of your PhD? So I know you're in your first year,
Yes.
and where would you sort of say you're up to at this stage?
Currently, I'm just doing some literature reviews and methodology study. Yes, so I think I'm on track. Hopefully, I can finish my PhD on time. Yeah.
Wonderful. I know when you've talked about your PhD, you've talked about using pop music or popular music for people to help describe or to reflect their life history. Did that choice of pop music or popular music come from your experiences in the classroom, or was it drawn from somewhere else?
I think because just my observation, people are more interested in the pop music than classical music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's closely to their life. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And I thought if you could expand a little bit about what, how music um, helps to trigger memories more quickly amongst people.
Yeah, I experienced it. My previous PhD topic, I mean, my proposal PhD topic, my first one, and is looking at the nationalism in music education. And when I was in China, I listened a lot of patriotic music, and during coronavirus, when there was a lot of news writing against the Chinese people, I listen those music when I'm in Australia and make me feel stronger, make me feel there's a connection.
Oh,
between me and people in China. Yeah.
that's fantastic. So you mentioned there was this patriotic music. Was there a lot of it? Was it by popular singers? Tell me a little bit more about it.
Uh, they are more about the classical music singers.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was younger, there always have a lot of patriotic music playing on the TV. When I was younger, I didn't really think about if it's government put there on purpose. But now I think there's a purpose for them to play those music all the time on the TV.
Yeah. And it's great to hear how it had such a great strengthening and made you feel, strong throughout that process too. That's really interesting to hear about the impact it has. So we've talked a little bit already about cultural and national histories. So I probably just want to jump into the next type of history, which is your fieldwork site, where the study for your PhD, where you're collecting your data, why you chose it, and perhaps how the histories are affecting or may affect the study itself.
Mm, I haven't started my field work yet. That's the next year job. But I'm guessing mostly I'll do the online Zoom meeting because there's a risk for me to go into the secondary school to interview teachers. And especially I'm less familiar with them. So the Zoom one will make them feel more comfortable. And my target is, I think, 30 music teachers. If I go interview them face to face, I have to go to like probably 20 sites.
Yeah.
Yes. I haven't started to look at how to ask people to participate in this project yet, but I feel like it would be quite hard. When I was teaching in the secondary schools, I was the only culturally diverse music teachers. We don't have a lot of diverse culturally diverse music teacher in Queensland, but I think there will be more in Sydney or Melbourne where they have a wider population.
Yeah. So you're going to look at across different states and territories, and how might you, well, hopefully identify those people?
Yeah, it's hard to identify them because my target is culturally diverse, and I think depending on different age, different years, the definition is different. For example, back in Australia just established, people from Greece, Italy, people call them culturally diverse. And after 10 years or 20 years, they become like mainstream culture. And the Asian or African immigrants, they become culturally diverse and islanders. So I think in my research, it may change in the future, but my current idea is all the participants except the participants from English culture background and will be counted for culturally diverse groups.
Yeah. So you mentioned Sydney and Melbourne is where you think you'll find greater culturally diverse music teachers there. Why do you think that might be so?
Because they have more immigrants from different countries, and they have a large population.
Yeah, and larger populations of all different populations throughout. So that's good.
Yes.
In terms of, so the next sort of questions are around the country where supervision takes place. So here in Australia, so I know you're down in Brisbane. So how has the sort of history of Queensland and Brisbane perhaps shaped or come into your study? You mentioned before that there's not a lot of cultural diversity in Queensland. Was your teaching experience in Queensland, and is that why you're thinking that you'll get your sample elsewhere?
I mean, there are a lot of culturally diverse students in the classroom, but there are not enough culturally diverse teachers in schools. We have a lot of culturally diverse students in the school where I taught before, but all the music teachers, all the teachers work in the arts section. They are from like a Western dominant culture background.